Awesome. Yeah, so part of my activism, as longtime viewers would know, has been recently, over the past 6 months, moving into the political sphere, because there's a lot of people that pay attention to politics because it has control over their lives. And so if I can sort of slide in front of all those people paying attention to the silly game and sort of use it as a platform to speak a little bit of truth to people, then I'm going to try it. And at the Ask a Libertarian platform, we had a pretty cool AMA talk, and I appreciate them for having me on. Yeah, and as you said, that kind of struck up a conversation between us on anarchy, voluntarism, which I would call the logical conclusion of libertarian principle and thought. And I wanted this time together today to just be sort of an informal discussion where you're curious about how things could work and would work and wouldn't work and might work, and what may or may not be scary or may or may not work or function as well. And I don't think there's enough of those conversations online, because a lot of people have the same questions. When I talk to this person and that person and that person, they all pretty much ask the same things. So if we can have one of these conversations live for everyone, maybe we can answer everyone's questions at once. I think this is going to be fun, and I'm excited and looking forward to it. So I'm going to kind of like let you drive the show, though, because this is your conversation. I'm just sort of here to answer questions and to kind of ask questions back at you to make you maybe think about a few things. So take it away, Travis.
Great. This is awesome. It's a great experience because I love asking questions, and I also love receiving questions. However, I try to answer questions by asking more questions, using the Socratic method, being that Socrates taught his students simply by asking questions to prove the fallacies within their own perspectives. So asking questions would be my forte. I would like to give you my thought regarding what you said about having a platform. You engaged into politics so that you could have a larger audience because people listen to politicians. And you reminded me of what Ross Perot said in the 1992 debate, where he was asked, I believe it was either about abortion or drugs. I'm quite sure it was abortion, though. And I believe he said he didn't really want the government involved, but he would use his platform as president as a bully pulpit and would preach the ideas that he wanted the culture to embrace, but not use government to enforce them. And now Ross Perot was not a libertarian by a long shot, but just like any other party, they have some good things about them. And the Libertarian Party is just what embraces those good qualities in other candidates, which I believe is something that Gary Johnson said during the 2016 presidential debate. So I kind of just want to commend you for that. And I think that's awesome. Now to continue into the discussion, I'd like to preface by pointing out that this is simply a discussion. It was emphasized that we will be conversing with each other. So I really haven't planned out any lengthy scripts or anything too detailed in that regard. But I do have quite a few questions that get brought up whenever I'm defending anarchism to another person, and questions that I have thought just in my own spare time. But before I ask a question, I would like to preface the first section of questions. There's 3 sections of questions. It'd be great if we can get to all of them today. If not, that's okay. I'll preface the first section of questions with telling you how my day has gone so far today, to express that I've had somewhat of a random day. It started off very normal, doing work online for the Ask Libertarian page, but then I had time to kill, so I searched on YouTube how to make jelly beans. They're just a bunch of different sugars and different types of corn syrup to powdered sugar to concentrated sugar, and just a bunch of different flavors and sugars. And it's something that's really interesting, but very, very random. And I also challenge my mind politically to think of things that may be very, very random. So this first section could be categorized as miscellaneous. So, Mr. Smith, once elected not governor of Texas, would you fear assassination?
That's a great opener. Yeah. Yeah. So my strategy has recently changed after my conversation with Larkin Rose. I don't know if you saw that. And after watching his debate with Adam Kokesh, previously I'd kind of followed the Kokeshian plan of, if I'm elected not president, I'm going to march to the White House after being sworn in and sign an executive order freeing the people and peacefully dissolving the federal government. Larkin's criticism of that was that you are using the libertarian platform to tell people that the way to achieve freedom is to vote for somebody to ride in on a white horse and with the power of executive order free everyone. But the reality is, and the true principled libertarian message is, the entire voting process is invalid. The system of government control is immoral and invalid and dumb and should not be endorsed as the vehicle to achieve freedom because it's non-consensual. That makes it invalid. So in light of that, I recently changed my strategy to I'm just carrying a message. I should say we, it's not just me. I drafted it and we're going to work on it as we go forward. A Declaration of Individual Independence, which is a much more libertarian plan. Everyone that wants to can participate. They can sign this Declaration of Individual Independence, and my role will simply be to amplify the message of that declaration to the world. If I win, it will be a triumph of that message of a bunch of people saying that they withdraw their consent to be governed, and they're going to be doing that not because Patrick Smith rode in on a white horse and signed an executive order doing that. It's just a simple statement of fact in the world. They withdraw their consent, and I'm going to show that to the world. And it's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not saving or freeing anyone. I'm carrying a message of their withdrawal of consent because that's what it takes. The only thing it takes to be free, the only thing it should take to be free is a personal decision between your own two ears. I, Patrick Smith, withdraw my consent to be governed. And the moment I do that, all forms of non-consensual control over my life become invalid and immoral. And so that's the message I'm spreading. Sorry, I kind of went off topic there. But yeah, that's what I would say to that.
So I think that's a great answer. It actually slightly in its own way reminds me of Martin Luther King Jr. because he had an audience. He had a lot of people looking at him. And with you having that individual Declaration of Independence, having collected multiple signatures would put an audience of eyes on you. And back to the question, if there ever was a point in time that you were assassinated for your leadership skills of liberty, then you would have an audience of people to record that and to carry that message on to the next generation and following generations. So that's a great answer. I appreciate your answer.
Well, of course it's a possibility. Anytime you resist structures of power, the structure of power is going to resist back. And of course that might make me a target. I have a limited time to exist in this universe, and I can use that time for just personal narcissistic pleasure, or I can try and make the universe a slightly better place for my children. And I've chosen to do that, to try and make it as good of a place to live as I possibly can before I hand it over to them, so to speak.
I think that's amazing. You just reminded me of Will Coley. Mr. Will Coley was a vice presidential candidate for he was seeking the nomination from the Libertarian Party to be the candidate for vice president. That was a mouthful of words. I'm sorry. But he got really excited at one point, and he was during the debate, and he was saying, "Hey, I know people that's been injured and even died standing up for freedom in their own lives and been incarcerated," and gave examples. And then he said, "I will fight for your liberty. I will die for your liberty." And I just thought that was really impacting because his heart, his neck, and everything would be willing to be put on the line for our freedom. I don't want to change a topic before I just give you another moment to add any other thoughts to it, but I do have another question for you.
No, go for it.